point that you were saying?
So it was like an attention grabber, and it said something like, "Right now is not a good time to buy real estate, unless." I didn't actually click on the video to see what it was talking about, but
Like
I feel
a
like
quote,
yeah,
unless you buy it the right way.
yeah, exactly. There you go.
Oh, shit. We can talk about that. We can talk about buying real estate the right way from
Yeah,
the perspective of
COVID-19 kind of.
COVID-19 and agents and the industry that are familiar with transactions.
One thing I kind of want to touch base on that I think is important right now because of the low interest rates and high prices, if you will, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we're seeing, right? People are hesitant about the high prices a little bit, just because they don't want to buy something and then eventually kind of like the market drops or whatever, right? But I think it's important to like remind people, at least as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to real estate, it's a long-term investment.
Right.
So it's not going to be like an immediate satisfaction type of investment,
Sure.
I know you've done flips, so that's a little bit faster.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different. I guess there's in this market there's room for both.
Yeah.
But I would say for the people that are hesitant, saying that like the prices are high and don't want to take advantage of the interest rates, I think those more are the people that are
And I think there's a lot of fact checking, right? I think when it comes to buying real estate, it's a scary thing, right? You're paying $150,000, $250,000 on a house that you're going to be in on a 30-year mortgage for a lot of these people. It's scary. It's a scary thought, and especially when you're competing against so many other buyers.
Yeah, seriously.
For the same house, you're kind of like, I can't really get a good deal if I'm competing against all these other buyers, but that's where they're wrong. You know what I mean? They're wrong because at the end of the day, the interest rate is just what makes a huge difference. I mean, even half a percentage. If you talk to a lender, and you say, hey, is half a percentage a big deal? They're like, yeah, it's a huge deal.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
Deal,
if you're talking about a 30-year mortgage, it's
Absolutely.
insane how much of a difference it makes. So I think, like you said, we have to remind these people that, or potential clients or potential homeowners that, hey, even if we were to go into a multiple offer situation, which my last buyers, we had to go through 2 houses before we got one.
Nice.
And we opened escrow. We lost a couple of them to cash offers. So that's one thing that, I talk to my clients about is, hey, we can structure the offer in a way to make it very appealing to the sellers. But at the end of the day, if we compete against a cash offer, it's going to be kind of hard to win that one.
Absolutely, for sure.
So, yeah, man, a lot of great points. I think that's key in helping these people stay motivated and
I think a lot that I see also in our office that puts a smile on my face, if you will, you know what I mean, that maybe like the average Joe wouldn't know about is, it's important to have a good agent because in a competitive market,
for sure,
you want to have an agent that's going to write the winning offer, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And it's going to coach you through the winning offer. It's going to explain to you the offer that you're making.
Absolutely.
I've seen, you had a flip, right, where you had multiple offers.
14.
And I'm sure the agent that won that that little race, I guess, if you will, or the bidding war, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm sure they wrote a really good offer, right?
Yeah. It was competitive, but like in this case, it was my flip, so I didn't really have to talk to the seller. But one thing that we talk to our sellers about is, hey, the highest netting offer isn't always the best offer, right? The one that brings you the most money isn't always the best offer, because I was talking to another client of mine, and he was being represented by somebody else. I won't name who, but it's another brokerage, another agent, and he had a house that he sold, right? He had it fall through 3 times before they closed the deal. So imagine that. It's 3 finance offers, right? They go under contract with the first one. It's a 45-day escrow. They probably went 30 days in, and then it fell through. Second one, another 45 escrow, same thing. And third one. So he was, this client, he was not the happiest, right?
Right, I can imagine.
So with that being said, I think what's important is when we talk to our clients, when we talk to our sellers, we don't just talk to them in, it's great to congratulate them. Hey, congratulations, we're under contract. Good job. Thank you for whatever. But I think we have to give them the worst case scenarios, right? We have to be like, hey, this is the offer we got. Here's the worst case scenario. Here's what can happen. Number one, we can, they're having inspections, so that might fall through during inspections. You know what I mean? Like, especially if they have something in their house that looks like it needs to be fixed. Hey, this might be something that the buyers might not like and they cancel on. Another big one too, and I think a lot of people don't know, is you can't just name your price. You can't just be like, hey man, I really love your house. I'll give you, and say you have it for $200,000. I'll give you $300,000 for it. Let's call it done. Boom, I'll finance it. We're good to go. No, there's appraisals, right?
Exactly.
Banks got to make sure it's worth whatever
they're going to lend out.
Exactly. So because they're cross-checking that, it kind of allows sellers to kind of be like, whoa, shoot, even if I'm getting offered $300,000 on a $200,000 house, that doesn't mean I'm going to sell it for $300,000, right? So that's also why cash offers are so powerful too, because you can pay whatever you want.
You don't have to worry about no lender.
You don't have to worry about no lender, no appraisal,
right?
None of that stuff. So I think it's kind of important that we become a little bit more of a, I think it's pessimistic. We're optimistic, right? We want to close the deal. We want to sell that, and get rid of it and get going with our lives and help the sellers do whatever they have to do. But I think a little bit of pessimism kind of, I don't know if that's a word, pessimism.
Yeah.
Kind of goes a long way too, because there's no surprises.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
There's a term, what is it? I don't like to, what is it? Underachieve, and then
I don't like to
overpromise and underdeliver.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah,
there you go.
That's what I was looking for. Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? You just want to let them know all the bad outcomes, and at the same time, I tell my clients too. This is how I kind of tell my clients is that, like, I want to give them the best news every time I call them. I want to give them good news, right? It's not ideal. Realistically, that's not going to happen. So I let them know, I'm going to give you the news that you need to hear versus what I want to tell you or whatever. It's just the situation that we're in, good or bad, and then we'll move forward from there.
Yeah, it's the reality, and I think people we want to be a part of this process and a part of this milestone, because it is a milestone, right?
Absolutely.
It's a milestone, but in the back end, it's a process. We got the lenders working, getting paperwork and all that stuff. So we want to be as optimistic and guarantee as much as we can, but it's such a difficult spot, right? You can't really guarantee that things are going to pull through, and especially right now with this pandemic, COVID, it's just kind of thrown everybody
45-day escrows turned into 65-day escrow now, so they're taking a little longer.
While you're on that, I ran the numbers, right? I was curious to see what the numbers were for financed closings, right? So I wanted to find out from contract date, meaning the day that they went under contract, to the day that they closed, how much has it changed from pre-COVID to during COVID?
Right.
And obviously before this, we were familiar with 45-day escrows, right? That was a typical, 45-day escrow, maybe 30-day if you're doing VA or conventional, but overall,
cash obviously is 15.
Cash is, whatever you want,
Right.
So I ran the numbers and I took all finance closing from contract date to closing for the last 90 days.
Okay.
And I came up with the number. This is in Yuma, 53.5 was the average.
Okay.
Yeah. So
COE.
Yeah. So that's 8.5 days higher than, and we're talking thousands of transactions.
That's a week. That's a week's a long time.
Over a week. So
wow.
I mean, and this is, like I said, thousands of transactions in the last couple of months. It's insane. It's just crazy. So those things we've had to adjust for, and that's part of the worst cases as well. Is hey, I know our close of escrow, because I've had some sellers come to me before, 3 or 4 weeks before they close, and they're like, hey, can we get our moving truck? Like, can we start moving our stuff out? or hey, can I, like, if they're renting at an apartment or something, they're like, hey, can we, put in our 30-day notice?
Right, that's a big thing.
It's a big thing because a lot of times these people put in their 30-day notice and the apartment comes knocking. They're like, hey, we need you out of here.
We need you out of it, and then the escrow gets pushed
and
back.
they get and now what do they do? You know
exactly.
what I mean? So it's one of those things that we have to kind of keep an eye on the market. We have to be like, hey, things aren't closing on time. Appraisers are here in Yuma. I was speaking to somebody from Tucson, right?
Okay.
An agent, a broker out in Tucson, and they said their appraisals they're normal, right? Their appraisals are taking a couple of weeks, 3 weeks max, tops. And they asked us, how are we doing down here? And we're like, we're struggling. I mean, our appraisers are so busy. I mean, to get one back in 3 weeks is like refreshing.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right now they're taking longer than 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So all those things we have to kind of be on top of for everybody. So
I think it's adjustment period for like the realtors as well.
Yeah.
But it's also for like the clients. Just because a lot of lenders now, I know for a certain, I think the credit scores are back now. But for a minute there, they were kind of raising their credit, raising their credit scores as far as like what they require for pre-qualifications. Sure. So I think it's a unique process in general for clients as well, because I've had clients that don't think they're ready. I send them to a lender. Next thing you know, 6 weeks later, they're getting the keys to the house.
Yeah.
Where I've also had clients where they think they're ready. They go to the lender. They need 6 months to a year to get ready. So I think it's important for them to talk to a lender and find out where exactly you are.
Yeah. Because
you may be ready, or you may think you're ready, and you may need a little bit of work. So,
very true.
Super important, right?
Yeah, big time. I mean, if anybody makes a phone call to an agent right now, wherever it is, whether it's us or whether it's somebody else, I mean, the first step in buying a house is getting pre-qualified. Right. And it's sometimes I feel bad saying that, because I might get a call or two for a house and they're like, hey, can we schedule a time to see the house, right? And I'm like, shoot, well, do I block out a space in my calendar, go open up the house for them, show them the house, get them excited, and then do the pre-qual and find out that they're not pre-qualified and they can't buy the house that I just showed them?
I mean, sometimes they could even get upset at you, right? For
not
warning them or whatever.
Exactly. So and then I feel messed up if I tell them, hey, I'm sorry, I can't show you the house until you're pre-qualified.
I know.
So it's kind of like, oh man, which one's worse? Which one's the lesser evil? But at the end of the day, whatever's the most professional is always making sure that they're pre-qualified beforehand. For everybody's sake, you know what I mean? You don't want to waste time looking at houses.
Right now, you don't want to go looking at homes without being ready and stuff like that.
So it's just not worth it. But I think overall, just staying informed and keeping these people informed of what's going on. Like this podcast right now, I think it's just me and you just talking about what our experience has been with just COVID and real estate and clients' concerns and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Right. But I think at the end of the day, I think we're doing pretty good as a market in general.
I agree.
We're pretty strong.
I agree.
I was not expecting this. I was kind of thinking like, shoot. I mean, it's freaking COVID. I'm gonna lose so much business. I'm gonna freaking. Yeah, it was scary, man. I was scared. And I was affected, and I'm sure you were affected.
Well, we had a deal together. Remember that had fell through?
Yeah, we had
COVID.
We had a seller. Yeah, we had a seller, and they fell through.
Yep, exactly.
Why did the buyer was like a cash buyer, right?
Cash buyer, and then this whole COVID thing ramped up, and they were just scared. I think it was like $140,000 cash that they were gonna spend, and they were just like, we don't want to spend this much money.
And they even lost their earnest money.
They lost their.
They were willing to lose their earnest money to get out of the deal.
Yeah. Wow. And
that was just. I remember seeing that email, and it was because. The buyer was just, afraid of,
spending that much money.
If not, there was so much
completely understandable too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's not always, it's kind of like 2008, right? I mean, obviously I wasn't around real estate, but a lot of people always think about the people that lost money, right? Because it was the majority that lost money, right? The middle class or, lower class. Even some in the upper class that lost a lot of money because of that. But have you ever watched the movie The Big Short?
I haven't.
No? A lot of people actually made money during that time, and they made insane amounts of money. So I think at the end of the day, for instance, for this pandemic, some people may have made some moves, right? While other people were, losing jobs or whatever. Some people, like for instance, investments, right?
Right.
I remember in that contract we lost, that lady was buying it as a rental.
Right. Yeah, she hadn't even seen it.
She hadn't even seen it, yeah. So I think that kind of opened up some doors for investors, especially because we were already getting saturated with a lot of investors.
Right.
I was going to the auctions here, and there was like 20, 30 people there, maybe like 10, 15 agents there. I mean, it was getting pretty difficult to get a property off the auction. But I think with this happening, it kind of stirred away some investors, and now there's more opportunity for those that want to get into the investment game, or the ones that remain too.
Oh, nice, yeah.
So, like, obviously the auctions weren't going on, but some MLS opportunities came up, some wholesaling deals came up. So some people may have made money, off of this pandemic. So it's just the truth.
Yep.
So
I mean, you just gotta go looking for opportunity, right?
Yeah, that's the key. But yeah, man, I think this is pretty good podcast for me being the first one.
I'm excited to see how this turns out.
We didn't even get no intro or nothing. We just went right to it. We were talking about the title, and we ended up talking. I think that's the most powerful thing about podcasting. You know what I mean? Just kind of talk back and forth.
I agree.
You pick and choose what you want and what's valuable to you. Because I feel like when you structure everything right, here's part 1, here's part 2, here's part 3. It's kind of like,
Yeah, and I don't know. I know this is kind of probably going a little lengthy. I'm not sure how much we're going, but I feel like we've also covered some very informative topics. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Which, in my opinion, that's the goal behind the videos. You know what I mean? Is to provide to any of you guys watching. Interested in real estate or getting into real estate, as far as like becoming a realtor, or investing, buying your first home, anything like that. I hope these videos bring some kind of informative value to you guys. So
sure, man. And yeah, like you said, if you want to get into real estate, don't be afraid. There's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of contracts to be made and all that stuff. And we're growing. Remax is growing. Our company is just a lot of changes happening very, very soon. You may have already noticed, or you may notice pretty soon, but it's great to be a part of this team, and I'm glad to have met big old 928 here.
That's right.
But I think that's pretty good for our first little podcast. But we'll see you guys in the next episode.
We'll be wrapping this up, and hopefully stay tuned for more episodes.
Yeah, we'll get a title name soon. But anyway, guys, take it easy. I hope you guys all have a beautiful and productive rest of your week.
Peace out.
Peace out.